He wasn't just a martial artist. He was a revolution. Bruce Lee broke barriers, smashed stereotypes, and created a legacy that still echoes across the world. From the buzzing streets of Hong Kong to the bright lights of Hollywood, his fists weren't the only things that struck hard. His philosophy, discipline, and charisma did too. But behind the fame and the flying kicks lies a deeper mystery. A part of Bruce Lee's journey that's rarely talked about. A hidden influence. A forgotten mentor. Today, we dive into the legacy of Bruce Lee and the untold truth behind the legend. Bruce Lee was born in 1940 in San Francisco but raised in Hong Kong. By the time he was a teenager, he was already turning heads, quick, sharp, and full of fire. Street fights weren't rare for him. Neither was ambition. At just 18, Bruce returned to the United States with a dream, to bridge East and West through martial arts and cinema. And he did just that. From The Green Hornet to Enter the Dragon, Bruce redefined what an Asian actor could be. He wasn't the quiet, background character. He was the star. A force of nature. But it wasn't just about fame. Bruce Lee challenged how people saw martial arts. He didn't want to be boxed into tradition. He wanted to evolve it. That's where his fighting style, Jeet Kune Do, came in. It was fluid, fast, and brutally effective. Absorb what is useful, discard what is not, he said. And he lived by that. Bruce's legacy isn't just in punches or kicks. It's in mindset. He taught us that martial arts isn't about violence. It's about discipline, control, and self-expression. What made Bruce Lee so different? It wasn't just speed or power. It was how he thought. Traditional martial arts often followed rigid systems, long forms, rehearsed sequences, and fixed techniques. Bruce broke all that. He studied boxing, fencing, wrestling, and more. He watched Muhammad Ali and took notes. He sparred with champions from all backgrounds. He didn't care about styles. He cared about what worked. And that's why Jeet Kune Do wasn't a style at all. It was anti-style. It was movement based on truth in combat. Direct. Efficient. Honest. He taught that in a real fight, there are no rules. No trophies. Only survival. And the best fighter isn't the one with the most moves, it's the one who can adapt. Bruce's one-inch punch became legendary, not because it looked cool, but because it proved his theory. Power didn't need distance. Just timing. Focus. And intention. Even his training was revolutionary. He lifted weights, ran long distances, and used high-intensity drills. He kept detailed journals tracking progress, decades before that became common. He used focus pads before anyone else. He cross-trained like a modern MMA fighter, before MMA existed. To Bruce, fighting was science. Art. Life. But where did this mindset come from? That brings us to the mystery. Most fans know Bruce trained under Ip Man, the Wing Chun grandmaster. But there's another name, whispered, undocumented, and largely forgotten. Some say there was a man in Bruce's early life. A herbalist. A spiritual teacher. A martial artist not interested in fame, only in balance. Bruce never revealed much. In some old journals, he refers to a Sifu Si. Others call him Sifu Chan, a teacher who taught Bruce not how to fight, but how to think. He reportedly trained Bruce in Chun Quan, or Fist of Spirit. It wasn't about technique. It was about stillness. Awareness. Breath. Long before Bruce delivered the famous line, "Be like water," he had already learned it while striking a bowl of water in Chan's shop. This mentor taught him to slow down. To feel. To listen before attacking. It was meditation through motion. And while Bruce left that early guidance behind for Wing Chun and later Jeet Kune Do, the seeds were planted. In his most private writings, Bruce always returned to those first lessons. Clarity before chaos, one page reads. Stillness before speed. Phrases not found in Wing Chun, but common in Taoist teachings. This quiet mentor may never appear in documentaries. His name may never be on plaques. But his influence? It shaped the dragon's soul. Before the world knew Bruce Lee, there was Ip Man. A quiet, humble figure. Not a movie star. Not a celebrity. But a true master. Without him, Bruce Lee's path may have looked very different. This is the story of the man behind the legend, Ip Man, the grandmaster of Wing Chun, and the teacher who helped shape one of the most influential martial artists of all time. Today, we look beyond the fame, into the roots of discipline, tradition, and quiet strength that fueled Bruce Lee's greatness. Ip Man, also spelled Ip Man, was born in 1893 in Foshan, China, into a wealthy family. He lived a life of privilege early on, but he wasn't spoiled. He was curious, driven, and deeply fascinated by martial arts. At the age of 13, Ip Man began training in Wing Chun Kung Fu under Chan Shun, a master of the art. When Chun became too old to teach, Yip continued training under his senior classmate, Ng Chung Sok. By his early 20s, Yip was already known for his speed, precision, and calm mind. But he wasn't just a fighter, he was a thinker. He believed Wing Chun wasn't just about defeating opponents, it was about mastering yourself. During the 1930s and 40s, Yip Man's life took a hard turn. Wars, poverty, and political shifts in China pushed him to flee to Hong Kong in 1949. It was there, in a small rooftop school in Kowloon, that his second life began, as a teacher. And among his many students? A fiery teenager named Bruce Lee. To understand Yip Man, you must understand Wing Chun. Wing Chun is a traditional southern Chinese martial art designed for close-range combat. It emphasizes speed, centerline control, economy of motion, and technique over brute strength. It was created centuries ago, allegedly by a Buddhist nun named Ng Mui. The art passed down through generations, guarded, refined, and respected. Yip Man belonged to a rare and authentic lineage. His training came directly from the old masters, which gave him deep roots in tradition. But Yip Man didn't keep the art locked in ancient methods. He evolved it, quietly, respectfully. In Hong Kong, he began teaching not just the privileged but anyone willing to learn with discipline and humility. His students trained in tight rooftop spaces with minimal equipment. The conditions were tough, but the training was tougher. Yip Man was known for being patient, but stern. He didn't tolerate ego. If a student bragged or tried to show off, they were dismissed. Martial arts, to him, was about respect and control, not violence. He introduced structured drills, wooden dummy practice, chi saw, sticky hands, and philosophical concepts rooted in Taoism and Zen. His goal wasn't to create fighters. It was to create individuals who were complete, physically, mentally, and spiritually. Yip Man wasn't flashy. He didn't give long speeches. But when he moved, when he demonstrated a technique, everyone watched. His hands were fast, precise, and deliberate. Every motion carried wisdom from generations before him. Bruce Lee entered Yip Man's school in 1954 at the age of 13. He was wild, energetic, and often got into street fights. His father hoped Wing Chun would teach him discipline, and it did. Under Yip Man, Bruce began to transform. The training was grueling. He repeated forms thousands of times. Practiced chi saw until his arms burned. Took punches. Delivered them. And slowly, something clicked. Bruce didn't just learn how to fight. He learned how to see movement. How to feel intent. How to respond without thinking. But Bruce faced challenges. Because he was part German from his mother's side, some students refused to train with him. Mixed heritage wasn't widely accepted in Hong Kong back then. Still, Yip Man allowed Bruce to train. Quietly. Without favoritism. He believed in giving knowledge to anyone who showed dedication. And Bruce respected him deeply. Even after Bruce moved to the US and began developing his own martial philosophy, he never forgot his roots. He often credited Yip Man for giving him the foundation to build Jeet Kune Do. In interviews and personal letters, Bruce called him Sifu with reverence. Decades later, when Bruce became a global icon, he tried to bring more attention to Wing Chun and to Yip Man's legacy. Yip Man passed away in 1972, the same year Bruce released Way of the Dragon. The timing felt symbolic. The teacher's final bow, as the student soared into legend. The story of Bruce Lee didn't begin in Hollywood. It didn't begin on a movie set, or in the roaring crowd of a martial arts tournament. It began in a quiet room, with a quiet man. Yip Man. We've walked through his influence, his teachings, and the untold role he played in shaping Bruce Lee. But now, we must ask, what remains? What legacy does he leave behind? Let's talk about the ripple effect of mastery. Because the impact of Yip Man's life didn't end when Bruce Lee became a star. It didn't stop when Yip Man passed away in 1972. It lives on, in movements, in philosophies, in fighters who have never even met him, but carry his teachings in their bones. Yip Man wasn't just a martial arts instructor. He was a preserver of culture. A transmitter of discipline. A quiet warrior who believed in structure, precision, and internal strength. He didn't crave the spotlight. But sometimes, the brightest lights are reserved for those who never seek them. Through Bruce Lee, Yip Man's teachings reached the world. But even beyond Bruce, the art he loved, Wing Chun, continued to grow, evolve, and touch lives. It's still practiced today across continents. In dojos, in garages, in quiet parks at dawn, you'll find students refining the forms Yip Man once taught, polishing their strikes, training their reflexes, calming their minds. Wing Chun didn't fade. It flourished. And that's no accident. It flourished because of the foundation Yip Man built, not just through Bruce Lee, but But through hundreds of students, each carrying a piece of his wisdom forward, let's reflect on what made Yip Man different. He wasn't just concerned with punches and blocks. He cared about intention, efficiency, character. He believed a true martial artist wasn't defined by how many fights they won, but by how well they understood themselves. That philosophy didn't just shape Bruce Lee, it reshaped martial arts. Today, many fighters talk about energy economy, flow, and centerline control. These weren't buzzwords for Yip Man. These were core principles. He understood that fighting wasn't about aggression. It was about balance, awareness, the mastery of self. That idea, that depth of thinking, became the heart of Jeet Kune Do, Bruce Lee's philosophy. But the roots were Wing Chun. The roots were Yip Man. Think about that. Yip Man's influence extended into an entirely new martial art, one that didn't exist before Bruce Lee. And yet, even within Jeet Kune Do, Bruce's own creation, you can still trace the fingerprints of his teacher. Every time Bruce said, "Absorb what is useful, discard what is useless," you were hearing the distilled wisdom of Yip Man's method. A method built on adaptability, on refinement, on simplicity. And now, those ideas are woven into the fabric of martial arts culture, globally. From UFC fighters to military trainers, from stunt performers to self-defense experts, people are applying principles that were once passed quietly from Yip Man to his students in Hong Kong. But here's the most beautiful part. Yip Man never needed fame. He never chased recognition. He lived with modesty, taught with patience, and died without fanfare. And yet, his legacy outlived generations. Because legacy isn't about being known. It's about being remembered. And Yip Man is remembered, in fists and footwork, in breathing and posture, in the mindset of millions of martial artists around the world. That is mastery. That is lasting impact. So now, we come to you. What do we do with this knowledge? We remember. We honor. And we look deeper. It's easy to admire Bruce Lee. He dazzled the world with speed, power, charisma, and vision. But if you want to truly understand greatness, you must study its origins. You must ask, who taught the dragon to fly? Who gave him his first tools? Who showed him discipline before he had strength? The answer is Yip Man. And if you've never explored Yip Man's full story, now is the time. Learn about his journey from Foshan to Hong Kong. Learn about the struggles he faced during war and poverty. Learn how he kept Wing Chun alive when others had abandoned it. And most of all, learn how he impacted his students, not just with technique, but with his example. Because that's how true legacies are passed down, not through noise, but through quiet mastery. Today, in every corner of the world where Wing Chun is practiced, Yip Man's spirit lives on. And every time someone trains with purpose, every time someone sharpens their reflexes, every time someone chooses control over chaos, they are honoring him. So let us honor him too. Not just as Bruce Lee's teacher, but as a teacher of teachers, a master of philosophy, a humble craftsman of the human spirit. Yip Man may have stayed in the shadows while Bruce stood in the light. But without that shadow, the light could never have shined so brightly. That's the lasting impact. That's the legacy of mastery. And now, it belongs to all of us.